Welcome, folks. You found Factor Eight's sales shot for October. This is for business leaders and enablement leaders, and we're talking about planning for 2025. Lots and lots of tips and tricks and stats I'm going to share today about budgeting and planning for next year. So this is especially for my friends who are owning training and enablement. And oh my goodness, get your fingers ready. We're going to take a lot of notes. This is crowded. We will send the recording afterwards, of course, and I'm going to give you a chance to even get some downloads and some tips from other places. So thank you for being here. Welcome, folks. I'm seeing our rooms fill up. Would y'all please do me a favor? Open up your chat. Go on down there and toggle to not chat hosts and panelists, but everyone, and answer this very important question for me. This is key. We cannot move forward until everyone logs their favorite Halloween candy. Now, my kids are at the stage now where they're probably a little too old to go out and trick or treat tomorrow. But to me, this is like child labor. This is where they collect my dessert for the next 6 months. And that's important because mama needs some, my favorite, typing it in. Nobody else likes these. I'll give you my address so you can send me yours. Almond Joys. Love them or hate them. Where do you land on that? John, everybody loves a Twix. Amy, Reese's are good. Do you put them in the freezer? Because that's important to me. No, have you ever tried it? Fridge is probably better, honestly, than freezer. Kit Kat, can't go wrong, Ryan. I'm feeling you there. This is good. Everybody, welcome. Please open up your chat. We're going to have a little interaction throughout today. Let's get it started by first toggling to switch from hosts and panelists to everyone so we can all see your answer and tell us what's your favorite Halloween candy. While we do that, Amy, you can see my screen okay, right? Because I sure messed that up last time. I want to make sure everybody can see these slides because we're going to move fast and there's a lot of big information coming. Side by side, I know. I thought I'd try something new today. Let's see how it goes. Welcome, everybody. We're going to kick this off. You found Factor Eight's sales shot. We do these every single month. I'll tell you more about those in a moment. Today, we're talking about budgets for 2025, smart spends, what other companies are spending, what to budget, how to budget, what they're spending on. I'm going to overload you with information. I'm going to give you resources. I'm going to give you a chance to meet one-on-one later if you want to ask questions. But the most important thing we're going to do in the next 2 minutes is vote on your favorite Halloween candy. So open up your chat, please. Toggle to switch and talk to everyone instead of just the hosts and the panelists and put it in there. What do we love? We got some Twix, some Almond Joys, some Reese's. Reese's is winning right now. Leona and Amy, you got it. All right, welcome. My name is Lauren Bailey. I'm the founder of Factor 8 and Girls Club and Sales Bar. My friends call me LB. This is my contact information. And I started a company 16 years ago called Factor 8. I did that after a long career in sales enablement, but I'm so old, we still called it training back then. I was a sales leader for about a decade and then an enablement leader for about a decade. I launched inside sales teams and trained sellers and managers around the world for IBM and for SAP before going out on my own and starting Factor 8. And I did that because I couldn't find the skills I was looking for as a sales leader or a training leader because my teams were already selling virtually or digitally. And so many of us didn't get there until COVID. So we've been training people how to call, how to get a call back, how to start a call, how to bridge between calls so it doesn't go dark, how to change what used to be a 90-minute face-to-face interaction into 20 small baby steps and call goals from prospecting all the way through closing. So this is a quick look at all the curriculum I've been writing over the last 20 years that's now available through Factor 8 and the Sales Bar. So if you're new to us, this is what we do. I'm going to be sharing tips that I've learned from both sides of the street today, right? I've been the person who took the sales training and the management training as a sales leader. I've been the person who bought it and built it as a training leader. And I've been the person who sold it and worked with thousands of companies in all different industries as well. So lots of knowledge coming at you this way. You should know that I build our company to work a little differently because I get you enablement leaders. So if you're searching for a vendor, of course, I want you to try us. You should know that we work flexibly, right? Some people use our curriculum and they train. So if you're looking for content, give us a call. Some people outsource it to us because they don't have the expertise or the bandwidth to handle that training themselves. So maybe we'll be the vendor you budget for. Maybe we won't. Doesn't matter. I'm here to help either way. You found our monthly sales shot. This is a free monthly webinar we do. Tip rich. You guys are like, if you've never been before, get ready, baby. We're going to speed through some of this stuff. Free. We do these for reps. We do these for managers. We do this for enablement leaders. We do it also for sales leaders. We switch it around. These are the next two. You can register for a couple at a time by going to factor8.com/shots. And yes, I may or may not actually have a drinking problem. My enablement people, even my sales leaders out there, if you've been to these before, and while I do that, I'm going to show you my sales shot leaderboard. Thank you to these fabulous people who keep showing up for us. Love it. Look how many folks are coming to. Here's the tip. This is a webinar and it's fun, all right? But it is one way. It is edutainment. It is not training. If you have no budget and you can't actually bring in real skills and practice and interaction that helps people apply new skills, and you just have to use this good free stuff, at the very least, my tip is book a follow-up session to these. Use our free shots, invite your whole sales team, do it together, and then afterwards jump on a Zoom, talk about it, practice it, apply it. Even better, I'd rather you just buy our damn training for it. We put it on the sales bar. We made it inexpensive. But I get it. I've been doing low cost, no cost for a long time too. You should know that the key to anything we do as enablement leaders should always be getting results, right? These are quick results I grabbed from our SDR training. So if you see sales shots you like for SDRs, invite them, role play, consider getting them the training afterwards in the sales bar. You can check these out at SDR_cert, but these are real results, folks. Big spikes in call time, in talk time, in calls back, in unit value, increasing ARR, record numbers of leads booked. So we deal in tactics that really work. I'm done with the commercial. Here we go. Sales shot number one, straight to the value. We're going to talk about 3 fast trends. But before we do, I see that some of you have not chatted in your favorite Halloween candy, and this is important. It's a very important point here. I'm looking for anyone in the world who also loves Almond Joys. And for everybody else who doesn't, I'm still eating last year's stale Almond Joys. Here we go. I love it. Deaver, I've never heard of Ghost Toast, and this I have to look up. All right, here we go, folks. 3 fast trends. Every year, Training Magazine puts out a training industry report. I read it cover to cover, and I make it more interesting here. Number 1, training payroll went down last year. Big shock, right? We're all in this economy together. We all know people who have lost jobs. That makes me sad. But look at this. How much we trained our people went down to. No big surprise. We don't have the people to do it. But man, is now a time when we need training more than ever. External spend went up a little bit, and so total budgets actually balanced. And I think that's because we cut some headcount and then realized we couldn't cut as much training as we did and hired some external vendors to help us. If you're in that situation, we would love to be on your call list and try to earn your business. Here's shot number 2. No big surprise, folks. It is more important now than ever. Okay. We're down in reps, but we're not down in quota. We're down in training. We're down in resources, and everybody's sitting at home. Okay. Our customers expect more. The noise is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So a friend of mine used to be the head of sales at Outreach. So Outreach is one of those email cadence, right? You guys know that. You probably bought it for your own company. And I had a call with him the other day, and he said, you know, LB, it used to take 5 to 7 touches and emails to get a prospect to respond and talk to you. Now it's more than double that. And get this, he said, and I'm really ashamed to have been part of that. The noise is real. Selling is harder. The economy is not great for a lot of companies out there. And our people are sitting without role models. We're watching ramp time get longer. We're watching tenure get shorter. So please stop skimping on the sales training. It's tougher out there. Here's another reason not to skimp. We're going to play a game now. I'm glad your chat fingers are ready. Ooh, Nicole, we can be best friends. Almond Joys. Get ready to type in a number. What % of reps would stay indefinitely with a company if they got enough development. This was based on an ambition study a couple years ago. You are chatting in a percentage. It's probably a high percentage. There's your tip. 75%. Nina is on the board. Nicole, we can keep talking about almond joys. That's important, right? Mounds are good too, but it's like sometimes you feel like a nut, and I usually do. 85% says Athena. The right answer is 98%. That's big, right? Thanks, Leona, getting on the board. 98%. People care about their development. Millennials do. You know this because they want to raise all the time. Forbes, development opportunities, number one. When millennials are looking for where to go, that's what they're looking at. These kids are much smarter than I was, and I think that's really cool. So nothing's going to surprise you about this next one. The top company benefit to retain talent or lure talent away. It's what we do, everybody. It's training and development. If your recruiting department is not advertising what you're doing, make sure that they are. If your employee surveys and HRs aren't talking about the development you're providing people, make sure they are. And if you don't, let's fix that, folks. Here's the next one I want you to chat in. What percentage of reps feel like they're actually getting the training they need to be successful? Now, this was from the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals, such a proud member for so many years of this organization. This was back when sales meant field sales and inside sales meant this virtual digital stuff that the rest of us do. 25%, 10 to 15%, 17%. Come on, everybody, play with me. I see John, I see Julio, I see Kate, I see Kristen, I see Lauren. Give me some numbers. Anita, Annie, Anthony. Play along, guys. Toggle, open up your chat, toggle it to everyone, and give me a number. There we go. Thanks, Nina. Nothing like calling somebody out, right? I'm a trainer too. I see you. 25% of the reps feel like they're getting the training. Here we go. Come on. Now's not the time, PowerPoint. 50%, about half are getting what they need. We got some work to do. And here's the next way I'm going to prove that to you. So let's look at this as ramp time. By the way, quick update to this slide. We used to get a good 9 months of performance out of an SDR. I know a lot of us are training these brand new college grads, maybe sometimes not college grads, but brand new sellers out there. Take a look at this. It's taking, gosh, not just 3 months anymore, sometimes longer now they're at home to get them up to speed, right? Not quota, not quota, not quota, almost there. They're hitting it at month 5 or 6. Then guess what? They're on their way out the door. It used to be 16, 18 months. Now it's down to about 14. That's a lot of time and money that we're investing. Over half of the reps out there don't last past 14 months. Wow. We've got to work on getting them to quota sooner. And let me tell you something, folks. When we do, they stay longer. I've been building new hire programs my entire career. At IBM, we reduced the new hire churn rate by over 50% just by improving the new hire program. At SAP, we got our inside sales reps up to speed faster than the field reps. Making money, we retained over 90% of those people. I've watched it happen at Waste Management. It used to take 6 months for reps to get their first sale. We got them their first sale in a week. It makes a difference what and how you train, and then they stay. When people feel successful, they stay where they are. But reps are drowning faster and faster these days, and it's tough, right? And I got to be honest with you, most sales leaders, when we came up, right? Because that's the generation, you're VP of sales, right? I started with him as a rep way back when. I'm sorry, it is usually him. But the point is, we swam. We didn't get the hand holding. We didn't get the swimming, right? We walked uphill both ways in the snow to school. We had to actually manual dial our phone and hit play and record at the same time to listen to our calls. And so we don't think that people need it. And we don't see how much selling's changed. And we don't invest enough in training. But I know I'm preaching to the choir when I tell you that development fixes these holes in the boat, right? They're out there drowning, and it's the training that saves them. They can't sit next to somebody anymore and just hear what's good. They need these skills. Now, especially folks, if they're transitioning from field to virtual, if they're a new hire, or if they're the only ones left in this crappy economy. A little bonus chaser for you here, Sarah. Here's some of the critical rep skills that we run into and that we get asked for the most. This first one, I trained Michelin about a month ago. And then last week I got a call from Johnny, who was just such a top rep. I mean, this guy has sales fire through and through. He'd been on the phones for about a month. He called me up, LB, I'm failing. This is miserable. This is so much harder than when I used to be able to sell in person. Now, Johnny's adorable, right? I think he went in and he just flashed his pearly whites and his charm, and people bought stuff from him. I was like, Johnny, honey, you're not failing. What you used to be able to do in one visit, you now have to break down into call goals, number one on the list. Folks need help breaking the end goal down into the 5 or 6 calls it's going to take to get there. And when we build them that map, we built that for Granger about a decade ago. When I went back, they had blown it up into poster size and people had it laminated on their desk. It helps. Ever get into a sales call and wonder where the hell you're going? Call goals. That helps you. Online meetings and demos. This is huge, folks. Most of them out there are bad. Prospecting is almost always the number one answer on the board. Building value is tough. And there's a lot of engagement things we've got to teach younger people these days because they're afraid of the phones. I don't have time to dive into all of these, but I will show you the study that Amy did last year. What are your biggest challenges with virtual sales? And here's what people answer. Prospecting wins, right? That's no fun. Is prospecting hard in your company? Give me a yes if that is in your top 5 skills that you're looking for and training on and trying to help people with prospecting. If it's not, Elizabeth, yes, it's so hard, isn't it? So hard. If it's not prospecting, then tell me what it is in there. Maybe it's something else here. Structuring and organizing my day, a rough one, right? We literally wrote a class for sales reps and sales managers just on that. How do you block the time? When are the best times to call? How do you get it all done during a day? Because it's crazy busy and multitasking. Virtual environment on the board. And the last 2 that tied were those virtual sales meetings and closing virtually as well. We've got this class called Call Bridging that is masterful. It keeps them from going dark in between meetings. Anyway, the point is, this is where your folks are struggling. If you're thinking about what do I get them, start here. But let's not forget closing all the deals. Yeah, I hear you, Athena. Let's not forget the sales managers. This is shot number 3. And folks, these sales managers need 3 shots. If I have any sales managers on the call with me right now, type in your favorite kind of shot. But here's why it's so important that we budget to develop the managers. They own every rep, every customer, and every deal. We're putting all our time and effort into the reps because that's where, there you go, girl. That's where the ROI is. You have 100 reps. You only have 5 or 6 managers. But they own every rep, every customer, every deal. And guess what, folks? You want to guess a number for me again? LinkedIn published this just this month. What percentage of sales managers are reporting burnout? Athena, you're so fun, Elizabeth. I love it. 95, 100%. It's so hard. I didn't realize how hard it was until I went to a friend's wedding, and a guy I used to work with, right? He's now a sales director. Like I said, my generation's in charge now. And I was like, hey, you got to love this virtual stuff, right, Biz? You don't have to drive to work anymore. And he said, virtual is great for everybody except the sales manager. It's so hard on the sales manager. The number is a little bit more optimistic. $1, Nina, just vote that. 47% right now. These are the people who report it. Sales management's the toughest job in the world. I've had them all. I run 3 companies right now. My hardest time was when I was a sales manager. True story. In fact, I just did a keynote at Ambition sharing all of my F-ups and failures. So burnout is real. Managers own every rep and deal, and we want them all to be this guy, right? Type his name in if you know who it is. He's like the most positive, best coach, best attitude. He wins games, he wins deals, he wins hearts, he wins minds. Does anybody know who this is? It's Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen it, get Apple TV. It's worth it just for this and the morning show. Here's the big difference between Ted Lasso and your sales managers. Ted lives on the practice field, folks. He lives there. He's got this great ratio of about 20 hours of practice to every game. It's 10-1. Your team, your team, if they're lucky, is about 1-50 in the opposite direction. Okay. That's if they're having a good 5 hours of conversations a day and they get 1 hour of training a week. It's not even including new hire. This is rough. My friend at Waste Management said the other day, Dave Swedler, he owns Inside Sales there. He says, we give them about 3 weeks of systems training and tools training, and then we let them go practice on their customers. And I thought, yeah. So Ted lives on the practice field and your managers live here. That's the tough part. 30% or less of companies have manager training available in-house. So tell us, yes, you do in chat right now, if your company provides sales management job training for those reps who have transitioned to manager, because most of them are promoted from within, right? So this is where your managers live. And by the way, this is their team. This is a little harsh, all right? But I am hearing over and over from people, my reps are afraid of the phone, right? They would rather text than call. I have trouble getting folks to work a full 8-hour day and 40-hour shift. Regina called me and said, LB, I've got 2 people out on medical stress leave. She's from Texas. Can you hear the accent? On medical stress leave right now. I don't think they've worked a 40-hour work week yet. So I hear it a lot. There's a lot of phone confidence issues out there. There's a lot of issues in general out there. Who we're training today is different than who we were 10 years ago, and the managers are taking the brunt of that. So please budget to train your managers because you probably don't have it in-house. Nobody says they do in here, and that's the way it works. But they need it. They need it desperately. And it looks like this is catching on. The trends tell us that over 30% of companies are planning an increase there, right? They're bringing in management training programs. And here's why that's important. When you promote a rep into management, right? This green part, the stuff they know, that's the rep job and why most of them try to keep doing it. The yellow part, this is where they suit up and go solve problems for the team, right? Okay, this is stuff that I'll go figure out. But all of that red is what's preventing them from having high performance teams. It's what they don't know. Training is real and it helps sales managers thrive. Here are some critical skills. You can take a picture of this QR code right now and download what some of these are. If you'd rather build than buy, go long. This is your menu. Here we go. I am moving on. The next thing I'm going to give you is if you need to go partner with your sales departments. Now, some of you are sales leaders, some of you are enablement leaders. Y'all play in different sandboxes. Like I learned early on that my superpower was the whisperer who could translate between the two because we speak very different languages. So I wrote this cheat sheet for you. If you need to go partner with sales leaders, if you need to go partner with enablement leaders to get what you need for reps and managers, this is a guide. It's how to translate what you speak into their speak and a couple tips to help make you successful. Factor8.com/enablement. Here we go. The next sales shot. While you're talking to the sales managers, please, I beg of you, talk to them about doing training before tools. Okay, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to show them the spend. We're going to look at the processes together. Then we're going to talk about football. Wait for it. Here we go. You guys, when leaders have issues they're trying to solve, they go to one of 3 main levers. This is them. The third one is a blank. It starts with P. Who can fill it in for me? Blank, process, and technology. Type it in for me. What's the lever we pull? People! Elizabeth's on the board. You got it. People, process, and technology. Now, bear with me. I'm going to translate these. Process is about consistency, right? Let's repeat the right things over and over, and all do them the same way. When we talk about technology, it's usually about efficiency. Let's speed this up, right? Let's enable this and make it faster. When we talk about people, we're talking about quality. This is where we play as enablement leaders. This is our sandbox. And ladies and gentlemen, leaders spend double on tools than training. Sales leaders would much rather go buy a sexy AI-based tool than invest in the time in making their people better. Not only do the numbers support that in terms of spend and the average number of tools, 5 to 10 per rep, but you know what else supports that? the number of consistently scheduled, automated, AI-generated, crappy emails that I get every day, and you get them too. We are skipping right over quality, folks, and going and solving with consistency and efficiency. And I'd like us all as a group to sit our sales leaders down and have this conversation, because they're going to come to you with this and say, hey, couldn't you get me an AI-based tool that make my reps better? And bear with me for a second here, folks, because this one gets me. It really does. It's like, and by the way, I've had 3 or 4 calls of people saying, hey, could you help me get your IP into my AI tool? Because then when your reps are in the middle of a sales call, we're going to flash up a tip from you on what to do next. And I say no every single time. It's like if you had a football game, right? And there was a heads up display. So I'm running down the field, I'm a quarterback, right? And then boom, AI says, oh, you want to juke left and run a swing pass. I made those up. They might not be real. Juke left and run. You know who can handle that? These guys. The most masterful quarterbacks of all time could do that on demand. Do you know where our people are? Imagine giving a kindergartner real-time juke left, run a swing pass in Pee-wee football, folks. Now, I'm not saying our reps are dumb. I'm saying they're coming with less experience. They're coming with fewer skills, higher customer demands, and more to learn. They do not have mastery of the basic selling and communication skills to be enabled by AI. So talk to your leaders about football. See if you can use this example with them and convince them to invest in growing the mastery of the basics before using AI to make them more efficient. All right, my rant's over. Put the soapbox away. Let's get into some budget basics, folks. Here we go. We're going to talk about how much, how often, what on, and the top trends. What do I budget? These are not my stats. These are industry standards. You can look at it in terms of 1 to 3% of your total annual budget for employee development. The easier way to look at this is by salary, right? You take your salary of those employees and say 2 to 5% of that is what I budget for their development. Sales is typically higher, okay? This is, these numbers are all professions, right? So forklift drivers, CEOs, and sales professionals. We're in the higher end of that for our salespeople. So 3 to 6% is the best practice there. Here's how you do the math. $50 for every 1,000 of salary. So if your sellers are about 90K OTE, 3% of that is just under $3,000. If you go up to 5% of that, you're looking just under $5,000 per employee for their development. All right, I'm getting this from training magazines, training industry report, by the way, and the internet. All right, what do companies budget? So what should you be asking for if you're new to this, right? Or you've never gotten a budget before. Here it is based on small, medium, and large. Of course, this is total budget, not just what you spend externally. When you spend externally, most companies are reporting 10 to 15% of their total budget. The top spends externally are sales training, onboarding, and management training. Other spends are around tools and learning management systems and instructional design, but this is what they're spending it on. All right, if you want some tips on partnering with vendors, boy, I've been writing this one for a very long time. Like I told you, I've been on both sides of this. I've been the one hiring, I've been the one being hired, and these are my tips, including a vendor partner checklist, things to look for when you're using that hard-earned, probably reduced budget externally. If you have to drop, I'm going to keep going for the next couple minutes. Make sure you get this download. Reach out to me if you want to learn more, and Amy will send the recording afterwards as well. The next question is, what do I budget? So what are we spending on those external vendors? This is the money based on small, medium, and large. What are they outsourcing the most to companies like Factor 8? Instruction. Come on in and do the delivery. So a majority, almost 60% of companies are outsourcing instruction. About 40% are doing it in-house. And that's a change, right? We used to do more in-house than we did before, and folks are bringing in outside more and more. 90% of companies are saying they expect this to spend the same. Pardon me, to stay the same. All right, what are we spending on? The big spikes in the last year, business skills and interpersonal skills. That's not a surprise. I've been on those phone calls. Ooh. We're spending no more on learning management systems, but more on the actual gamification. Guess what wasn't on there? Virtual reality. Everybody's talking about it. I've looked at it. I don't think it's that great yet. If you got it and you think it's great, tell us in the chat right now. But spending did not shift on that in the last year. So we're holding out as a group, and I'm glad we are until it gets better. Gamification we know we need because take a look down here. Number one challenge, not just lack of resources, but low learner engagement. It's hard to keep people excited about learning, isn't it? I mean, I love it. We all know the feeling when the light bulb goes off. It's the best thing in the world. And we've all gotten the emails about this was amazing and you helped me win the deal. And when you've been doing it a long time like me, you get the emails about you changed my life. I was the best rep. I got promoted. Now I'm a VP of sales. Will you come train my people? And I have to say no because it makes me feel old. I'm kidding. That's not the truth. But the point is, it's hard to get people excited. We have to educate and entertain. And there's a lot of noise and thought leaders out there that just do videos. And we know that doesn't work. And that's frustrating. So engagement challenges are real and lack of resources are real. You are not alone. I love the DE&I made in the top 5. We'll see if that changes this year. All right, so here's some tips, folks. Please make it an annual line item. My leaders, my company leaders, my sales leaders, you got a tools budget. You got a recruiting budget. You need a goddamn training budget. Do it. You need these resources to help your managers engage their teams. If you don't get that money, reroute it. In fact, I have sales leaders that don't have trainers either, and they change a sales headcount. Take a rep headcount, turn them into a coach and a trainer who can make all the reps better. Every single one of them report high ROI. If you're one of these 5 things, right? You've had a change in go-to-market. You've had a change in a different competitors or products. If it's been more than a year, if your teams went remote or you had a massive goal change, budget more. They're going to need the help. If you're a startup and you're trying to decide when do I hire a trainer, it's tough, right? It's that spend is hard. Somewhere between 25 and 50 employees is where you want to do it. But be very clear. It takes somebody at a manager or director level 6 to 18 months to build a really good, solid onboarding program. It is not instantaneous. Good training takes a long time to build. Okay. So if you hire the person, they're not ready tomorrow to go out and fix your onboarding for your reps. So plan ahead with it. All right. If you missed some of these, you want to get more and learn more about the budgeting and the how often and the how much, etc. These stats are available at factor8.com/budget. You can download it. Don't you wish I showed you this before you took all those notes? But that helped you learn. All right, let's talk about maximizing your ROI. This is big, okay? So if you're going to spend the money, how do you make sure you get the most out of it? So the first one is go beyond new hire, right? I got to tell you, there's so many places I go and visit who are doing great new hire training, which means you're really wasting your money because they're out there flailing and figuring it out on their own. At the very least, space it out. If you only get this much training, don't do it all up front, is what I'm saying. Spend the money on the managers. So many big ROI tips here. First of all, because they're going to have better interactions with their reps. And reps may come to you for the development, but they leave because of their bosses. Okay, we join companies, we quit people. Everybody's heard that. Also, when your managers get really engaged and they get what good training looks like, they partner with you better and they do a better job of helping coach your teams do it as well. Make sure that you can tailor it, okay? I know build versus buy. When you buy it from the outside, it's faster. When you build it, it's tailored. Try to go somewhere in between, right? Where you can get speed, but tailor. That's where we try to play. And then slow your roll. Oh my God, I spelled roll wrong. That's the wrong roll. Sorry, autocorrect. Slow it down. You can't open their heads and pour it all in at once. I like to talk about just-in-time training. Shorten what you're doing in new hire. You don't want them to know what they don't know yet. They come out more confident. Bring them back at month 1. bring them back at month 2. I trained a client recently in South Carolina, and I was at the end of their new hire onboarding process, which was months long. Okay. And I talked to the VP afterwards and I said, you're going to get much more money out of this if you put them on the phones for a month first and then bring me in. Because while I was teaching them how to overcome early brush offs and how to get people to stay on the phone with them when they were outbounding, these kids had just drank the Kool-Aid for the last 3 months. And they were like, people are waiting for our call. They are literally sitting by the phone waiting for me to call them. I don't need this. I got a few calls a month later. So slow down what you don't try to cram it all up front. Okay. Space it out. I think tactical frontline virtual selling skills are best after they've been on the phones for about a month. For managers, I think it's best before they get the job. All right. What does good look like? Whew. Well, most companies are training 4 to 5 hours a month internally. I tell you that number went from closer to 5 to closer to 4 last year. But the key is most of us are doing product training, right? Or new systems training or company updates. Let's look at those tactical skills, folks. How does it help their career? That's what they want. Best practice, yes, is don't do it all internally. When you bring in a professional curriculum or trainer, you add that higher credibility. Let's help our teams understand the difference between training and coaching and make sure that both of them are involved. And here comes the soapbox again. Folks, video training is edutainment. It's not training. Okay? People do not retain. Well, here are the stats. In fact, I think I have it on the next slide. Oh, it's in a couple slides. Wait for it, but they forget all of it. Okay? Make sure it's interactive. Help them with a certification. Man, they love a badge. And try to help it live beyond the classroom. I know it's tough to get those managers to engage with you. That's why I wrote the tip sheet. Okay. But when you can involve them in new hire, in ongoing, in coaching, it makes it easier. The key to doing that, believe me, I've been working on it for 20 years. The key to doing this, if you want managers to play with you, make it fast, make it easy. Okay. That is why we built the sales bar. Any manager who's going home over the weekends and creating content for their huddles, for their team meetings, for their trainings, and spending all weekend doing it, don't have the time to do that. They can't own it. They have too much other things going on. So we built the sales bar where they could say, oh, well, Chrissy needs time management, right? And Nina needs help getting bridging between the 2 calls. And this guy needs help breaking in and prospecting. And this guy needs help with objection management. And I can't even remember what I assigned. So here's my cheat sheet to coach them all fast and easy. That's the key to manager engagement. All right, guys. Smart spends, dumb spends. Here's the good stuff. If you're bringing something in from the outside, check the degree of customization. I don't know if y'all have done this before, but the last time I bought leadership training, it was really good content. I spent an extra $20,000 to have them customize it for me. And do you know what it looked like? It was literally 1 page of 2 paragraphs of role plays shoved in the back. I mean, it wasn't even in the workbook. It was a loose leaf. For $20,000, give me a break. So have vendors show you what and how is tailored, right? And what it looks like. Always, always, always measure those baselines first. The results I showed you that we got over the last couple of years in those 3 companies, it's because we demanded the managers go grab the baselines for us first. It's not easy. We nagged a lot. But y'all, we need to show ROI, right? That makes us legitimate. It saves our jobs and our budgets. So go get the KPIs, okay? In fact, you're not getting anything from the manager, skip them and go to ops and get the reporting yourself. Ongoing reinforcement versus an event. When I first started Factor 8, we did training like everybody else did, right? Here's your 2-day event and we'll work with your managers a little bit. And then when we leave, the buzz goes down and everybody kind of goes back to what they were doing before 90 days later. Now we partner, right? 90 days is the minimum, but we're usually partnering for a year, 2, 3 years. Work long-term together so it doesn't become the flavor of the month. The managers help keep it alive, give them the tools to make that easy. And of course, wherever possible, get interactive, okay? I know, e-learning scales. I resisted doing e-learning until 2019. Thank God, because we'd be out of business if we hadn't put everything on the sales bar, right? We all went virtual, but it's boring, okay? Most of it's talking heads. This is why we never go more than 2 or 3 slides without interaction and listening to real live calls and making it fun for people. All right, you're wasting your money if you're not involving the managers in the program. You're also wasting your money if you think your managers are going to do the training. Managers are horrible trainers. They're horrible. I can say that because I was one and I was horrible. Okay. And I've worked with thousands of them. Not their main skill, folks. They're also, by the way, naturally horrible coaches. We used to teach coaching in a 2-hour session. It is now a 4-part, 8-hour extravaganza. That's how long it takes to shift management behavior to become good coaches. Not lying. Come check out the program if you're looking for it. If it's a talking head, I've already talked about that. The one-stop e-learning libraries look really good in terms of like, ooh, wow, I spent this much money and I got this many titles. But there's a reason it's that inexpensive, right? Like that's not actually going to shift skills. I think SKOs are fun and I love to do keynotes. In fact, I'm going to show you my page here in a second. I hope you'll bring me in because I have tons of fun doing them. But remember, they're edutainment. Okay. We do a little bit of training. Most of it's when they have a hangover on the second day. Not much of it gets applied. It's an event. It's a fun event. And inspiration's great, but don't expect it to change behavior unless you reinforce it. All right. Oh, the last money waster is when we try to solve an issue with training that isn't a training issue. Okay. If you have not looked at expectations, compensation, reward and recognition, even the systems that may be combating the behavior change, you may be wasting your money. I love modeling my approaches off human performance improvement. I don't have time to go into it, but look it up. It's so cool. It talks about all the factors you need to change behavior. And that's what lights me up, is how to really get people to start trying and doing new things that get results. And the number one way to not do that is the talking head video. So again, I'm doing it right here. This is one way. It's a webinar. Folks, you're going to forget 90% of what I say here by the end of the week. Now, some of you wrote it down, right? Some of you may be even downloading it. You might be looking at it. You might be using it, right? When you reinforce it, you apply it, you use it, you practice it. That's where we get the green lines. And I know I'm preaching to my enablement choir out there because that's why you guys use adult learning principles and put together great training. Try to train everybody else in your company about that too, because it's really easy for them to try to fix it with a video and an AI bot. And that just doesn't get us where we need to go. If you do use virtual training, here's my training snob checklist. Interactive, right? Don't let it play in the background and then take a quiz. Keep it short. Mid-level Bloom's testing, I'm really nerding out right now. There's this thing called Bloom's taxonomy. And like on this side, I can define it, but on this side, I can use it and change it and apply it and et cetera, right? E-learning never gets you all the way here because you don't get to practice live with it. But most e-learning stops here. Target ones that work here. I have to make decisions about it. I have to prioritize it. I have to recognize it. I have to write my own. That's good e-learning. All right, multimodal, you guys get that. Fun and casual. I mean, if you're training salespeople and you're all buttoned up and uptight, nobody's gonna pay any attention. And like we said, involve your managers. I like toolkits for them. Make it easy. All right, let's talk about proving your ROI last. Right, you're gonna get the budget next time by proving it. Here are some stats you can use. These are on the downloads. These are not our stats. I'll show you those next. These are industry stats. It's so easy to find these now in Google searches, but look at these. Good training can cut onboarding ramp time in half. I've seen that. Training Magazine proved it. HighSpot, look at that number at the bottom, almost a 400% ROI on training for sellers. That's a big difference, folks. We think we're hiring in the experience, but they always need the training. But even generic training, ATD and HR are talking about double the return, right? Which is, double what you're looking for. You need that 100% at a minimum. Here's again some of the results that we get because I think we do it a little bit better. All right, I got a pitch for you on my last 2 slides, ladies and gentlemen. Have you heard of Girls Club? Do I have some Girls Clubbers still with me on this call? Athena, I know you're there. Anybody else? Girls Club is a management certification program exclusively for women. Our goal is to help get more women into sales leadership positions. I love seeing all the boss names on this call. Enablement, marketing, customer success, service, sales, BDR. If you're revenue adjacent and you'd like to get into management, 70% of our people get promoted before the end of the certification, 500 promotions and counting. We do this at cost, usually at a loss. We need you to send your people to us. You got a high potential person, you got a couple, you got a brand new manager who you can't afford the training for. This is an inexpensive way to return a high performing sales manager. And my enablement friends, if you're planning an SKO, man, I'd love to come. We bring energy and tactics and fun. This was me last week on the Ambition stage in Nashville. We played a game of Family Feud. We had a blast. If you go to factor8.com/speak, you can book me to come do that with you, and I would love to. Here's the last offer, folks. If you want to talk through this, if you want we're not going to sell to you, commerce is off the table, discussion about what to plan for, if you want us to take a look at what you're doing and help you benchmark that against the hundreds of companies we work with every year, myself and my CRO, Ted Martin, are happy to take that call. Scan this, book a meeting. You know Leona's going to call you afterwards and try to book that meeting anyway. Atta girl. But let us know you just want to talk about some best practices in enablement, and we'll be here to help you. Here's the last word. I hope you guys agree with me and you can bring this forward into the rest of your organizations. Learning isn't something you did. It's something you do. So let's make sure we plan accordingly in our 2025 budgets. I thank you all so much for your time. I'm going to stay here for a minute. For anybody who's got questions, you can hang with me on the chat, put them in there. I'll stop the recording now, and I thank you for joining me. Come back, bring your managers, bring your reps, and book that meeting. I'm here to help you. Whew, lots of years of experience in this sport. I'd love to pay it forward. Thanks for being here.